All right, sorry for the technical difficulties, guys, but I couldn't hear Kyle. Kyle couldn't hear me, so that doesn't make for a very good show, now does it? What's up, guys? Again, apologies for being late. Let me welcome all you guys in here. I don't want to keep Kyle too long, so I'll welcome all you guys in. Then we'll get straight to the things. We got Brett from Collecting with Cool. What's up, man? Colin, what's up? Mr. Fantastic. We got John. We got Jay Philly Toys. We got Rex. We got Joe. We got Chris from the Man Collects. We got Ultra Cardazilla. And that's everybody. So here we go. Kyle Peterson. Big show, boys. Let's do it. What's up, Kyle? How's it going, man?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Actually, it's great to meet you. You and I have never spoke before, but thank you again so much for being on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah. So, dude, I think you might be the busiest, hardest working man in all of YouTube. My first question is, how the hell do you do it?
Little sleep, I guess. Just sleeping like 4 hours a day, basically. And I travel a lot and stuff like that. So working in hotel rooms and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's a grind for sure, but it's a fun grind. I always kind of say it's a lot of hours, but it is a lot of stress relief from the day-to-day job. So it's
Sure.
it's fun to do, that's for sure.
Right, right. And how long have you been doing it? How long have you been on YouTube for now?
Just 3 years, just a little
Wow.
hair over 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, your numbers are big time for someone that's been on for 3 years. So, how's the experience been? Do you think it's been a good experience overall, or have you had some
Yeah.
bumps in the road?
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. I mean, it's funny is, I could be very long-winded, so cut me off at any time. But
No, please do. You make my job easy. Please do.
there you go. It's funny is I'm an anomaly. I'm not exactly sure. I obviously knew what YouTube was before I started it, but I never watched any like action figure anything on YouTube ever before I did my first video. Um, so a lot of people probably go into YouTube like, oh, this is how this person does it or this person. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I didn't even, I like just was not part of my life. YouTube for me was I need to check out the clips of last night's Motorhead concert. That was what I used YouTube for. Never thought about my action figure life crossing over to there. I've always collected action figures. I just, for some reason, never went that direction. Very strange, I guess. And I always say that's where my YouTube is probably different because I actually never watched anything. So I said, well, if I'm going to review stuff, how would I do it? And I didn't have any bad habits or good habits from anybody else. I just had my own me, I guess. So very strange, probably compared to most people. As most people probably started YouTube, and unless you were there at the beginning, you had some idea of what people did.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's tons of people who have, maybe not idols, but they have people that they kind of base things off. I kind of watch Cincy Nerd a lot and I base things off of how I do things, kind of like how he did when he started and stuff. But
Mhm.
I mean, I would never know by watching your videos that that was the case with you, man. I would have thought for sure, okay, this guy's watched Greg Cook, this guy's watched this person and this person. So that's kind of shocking that you really had no experience and you just winged it.
Yeah, until I kind of got into it, then I started looking at other people's stuff and things like that. But I just kind of had my own format. I just kind of said, how would I do it if I was going to do it? And I feel like if I tried to be doing something like somebody else, it might be not, it wouldn't come off authentic, I guess. And then when I ever do a video or something, I always feel like the camera, whoever I'm talking, is who I'm talking to. It's just a one-on-one chat of
Right.
what I would do.
Right.
And that's kind of what it always, that's how I base it off of, at least. So.
Sure. So I got a good comment here from Mr. Fantastic. You probably know him.
Oh yeah.
Kyle may be the one collector whose weekly pickups actually exceed mine. I show my wife Kyle's weekly pickups to make her feel better. Nice.
I hear that a lot.
Dude, I bet you do. I bet you do. So, how long have you been collecting for?
Basically, since I was like 3 years old, probably
Okay.
with the original He-Man figures. I mean, I've bought action figures my entire life. I had a little bit of dip in college. I guess the end of high school, college, I did sell pretty much my whole collection, but I still bought stuff. I just didn't have any money to really buy stuff, so I just kind of admired. I'd go to Walmart's every single Friday night and Target when I was in college, and I would, just look at what's on the shelf. I've always looked at what's on there, even if I couldn't buy it. But yeah, I've been pretty hardcore collector since I was like 3 years old. I mean, a lot of my childhood memories are around. Oh, I remember the Target I got this GI Joe Python Patrol at in like 1989. I remember exactly that. It's weird.
Nice. What was your go-to figure when you were a kid? Was there that one, you took it around with you, you kept it in your pocket, it was
Uh,
always with you?
oh, my boy Flint, GI
Oh,
Joe Flint.
nice.
I was all in on Flint from an early age, so he was my first kind of hero. Obviously, He-Man. I mean, everything, and you'd bring wrestlers eventually, things like that. But Flint was probably the one I had the most adventures with on the road. Never lost him, thankfully. That would have
Nice.
been
Nice.
that would have been
Nice.
tough times.
Do you have any of your original figures from when you were a kid?
I still got my original aircraft carrier. I still got
Nice.
that one, and I got a few things here and there, but not much. I pretty much sold everything back in like '99, 2000 when I was getting ready to go to college. So a big mistake at the time for sure. But at the time, I was like, I'd really like to buy this Grand Cherokee, and I actually sold my collection. And I got a Grand Cherokee. So
There you go. Hey man, you got to do what you got to do, right?
yeah, 19-year-old Kyle was like, hey, all right.
Right. Yeah, need the Cherokee. So let me welcome in a couple more people that came in. My brother Dan Henry, what's up, man? Great to have you here. And I think that was it. So, all right. So you've been collecting your whole life since you're 3 years old. You say what was the one line that always stuck with you? Was it GI Joe? Was it He-Man? Was it the
Yeah.
wrestler? What's the one line?
GI Joe for sure. I mean, GI Joe. I remember as a kid where I lived, GI Joe. The same episode was on 4 times each day. It was on one
Nice.
channel had it on in the morning, and then another channel had it on in the morning, right back to back, and same thing in the afternoon. I would watch all those episodes 4 times a day, four
Nice.
times a day. And I've seen every episode of GI Joe so many times over my life. It's absolutely crazy. But GI Joe, a lot of people think wrestling and stuff, and I obviously love wrestling, but GI Joe was my first real passion in collecting, and the greatest time collecting the GI Joe brand back in the real American Hero days for sure.
Right. Definitely. So let's talk about wrestling a little bit. I mean, it's been a rough week for wrestling.
Yeah.
We lost Bray Wyatt, which was absolutely a shock to me. I'm sure it was a shock to you.
Yeah.
And then Terry Funk as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, kind of go over how has that affected you? I know you're a huge wrestling fan. I know you go to a
Yeah.
ton of shows. How's it been for you?
Bray Wyatt. I mean, they were both unexpected, I guess. But Terry Funk was older. We knew he had
Right.
health issues, so I guess Terry Funk definitely more expected than Bray Wyatt. But man, Terry Funk hit me on a pretty tough personal level, as him and Ultimate Warrior are my two favorite wrestlers of all time. And I've got to spend time with Terry Funk on 3 different occasions in my
Nice.
life. And I worked with him for a weekend. I mean, I've done videos and stuff talking about it a little bit, but man, Terry was my favorite when I was a little kid. I mean, I loved Terry Funk. And then, of course, in high school, his ECW run, I loved all that. And, just following his whole career since I was a little kid, and just getting to spend time with him and hang out. I mean, I always tell the story about I had a pizza dinner with Terry Funk and Mick Foley, just us three sitting at a table. And I kept pinching myself. This is the weirdest thing. I can't believe I'm eating pizza with these three, just hanging out here. But yeah, Terry Funk hit me hard. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Terry Funk on a whole weekend for 3 days as his kind of handler, working his table with him, eating with him, hanging out with him, talking stories, talking business at the time. So yeah, Terry Funk really hit me hard. And a lot of people on my channel, well, where's your Bray Wyatt tributes? Where's your Bray Wyatt top 5? I said, I did it a year ago. Go check out the video.
Right,
It's on
there
my
you go.
channel. I did it a year ago.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Terry Funk, I had a way deeper personal connection with, and a lot more years. Where Bray Wyatt, I mean, I've known the last 10 years, whatever it's been. But I wouldn't say, I'm not the person that's going to say, oh man, he was my favorite wrestler of all time, that kind of stuff. I mean, but obviously, totally tragic. Nobody ever wants to, especially, we're both in that age bracket around him. It's like, wait a minute, people shouldn't die at that age.
Exactly, especially with a heart attack. That's what they say, but it's like you just don't expect that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
very uncommon. So
Yep.
I got honestly, I think the Bray Wyatt. I wasn't a huge into wrestling until probably about 20 years ago. So I think the Bray Wyatt hit me one a lot. I remember seeing him in his Hell in a Cell cage match with Seth Rollins. Me and my brother and my dad saw it at Pepsi Center when I used to live in Denver. And man, the guy just had an air about him where it was scary to watch him. He just had this awesome air about him, and it was, it was tough. It was definitely tough to see that. And I know he loved his kids a ton. I'm sure, his kids are really going through a lot. So, Kyle Peterson, have you went to FYE and saw the damn prices they're charging on action figures? Because those prices are effing ridiculous. Someone needs to strike against FYE.
Well, I think most people have striked against FYE. I don't know anybody that's buying action figures there. I don't have one actually by me. It just recently closed down a couple years ago, but they've always been more expensive. Then they run really stupid sales. I don't know what their end game is with that, because there was an FYE in Omaha. I was traveling and they were going out of business, and they had like 70% off going out of business sale, and they had a G.I. Joe classified Crimson Guard. I'm like, oh, 70% off. I'd buy an army builder. I'll buy that. And it was like $29, 70% off.
Oh my God.
It was like ridiculous. I'm like, this is more like $5 more than retail. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I've been into one and same deal, like $40 for an archive Princess Leia. It's like, what? Come on.
Yeah.
It's insane. So let's see. There was another one here. Bray was my favorite current wrestler on with Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
Oh, good friend of the channel, Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
Good guy. I've talked to Cody a lot over the last couple of years, which is funny.
So just by talking to you, and I knew this a little bit, but you've met a ton of wrestlers. Who is the one that you've met that's your absolute favorite?
Well, it was Terry Funk by far. I'm trying to think. I've met a lot of people over the years. I met almost everybody. I mean, I've just been around it. The Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is in Waterloo, Iowa, which is about 2 hours from me. And my buddy helps run that. And I've been a part of that for like 20 years. So there's been so many people that have come in through there over the years. Even like Jerry Briscoe and Jim Ross. I mean, Colt Cabana. I mean, there's been so many guys. Rick Steiner was there. I mean, I could list for days and days and days. But Terry was definitely best. Mick Foley, obviously, he's probably the nicest. A lot of people have met Mick Foley over the years. Just a super, super nice guy.
Sure.
A lot of them.
Nice. I feel like I need to fly down to Florida. One of the signings before he passes, he will be forever be my favorite. I feel like I need to meet him at least one time. Who are you talking about there? Mr. Fantastic. Hogan. Talking about Hulk.
Absolutely. I've never met the Hulkster. I've never met Hogan. No.
Wow. I'm surprised by that. Wow.
No.
Nice. Okay. So a funny thing about you, I clicked on your video one time. It said the world's biggest toy collection. I was like, this guy's full of shit. There's no way. And then I watched your video. I was like, I think he's right. I think he's right. Ballpark it for me. How many figures do you think you have?
Oh, I got to be around 20,000 now.
Wow. 20,000.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be really close, if not over.
Nice. And the majority is, I mean, you do Star Wars Black Series and you do G.I. Joe, obvious, but the majority is wrestling, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, wrestling. Yeah, wrestling, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Thundercats, Turtles. That's kind of my main. Star Wars, Marvel Legends. That's pretty much my main. I've been getting a lot of McFarlane's lately, though. They've really crept up on me. But
yeah, they're kind of going a little bit Hasbro, repainting everything now and doing all that sort of thing. Well, what's your favorite line going right now?
Probably G.I. Joe Classified.
Agreed.
Probably I just opened up today the new Desert Snake Eyes, the Snow Serpent, and Tunnel Rat. So I just got those reviews done today. So
how do you get the figure so early?
Yeah, I mean, I always say it. There's a place called DJC Collectibles up in Canada, and they're across the street, literally across the street from Hasbro's distribution center. So they're like first in North America to get everything.
Okay.
I just order from there, and they got a discount code. It's like, I think it's 8 off DJC. So you save 8%. And the prices look really high because it's in Canadian, but it's actually cheaper than they are. And then you use the discount code. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Nice. That's definitely the way to do it. Let's see. Archkidazilla says, even though I'm not into wrestling as I used to a few years, Bray Wyatt's death still hurts me. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. And Mr. Fantastic, the nicest I met was Mick Foley. Flair was the most aloof from the ones I met. Would you agree with that? Flair's a little.
I'd agree with that one. That's for sure. Flair's a different cat.
He's out there a bit. Definitely, man. Definitely. All right. So with your collection, what the majority of what you have you say it's been like within the last 10, 15 years that you've acquired it?
Yeah, I would say after I got out of college. So let's see. Mid 2000s, I really started. I really wanted to collect the Masters Universe Classics line, but I couldn't afford it. I had to kind of choose two lines to collect. So I collected the Jakks Classic Superstars, and I collected the G.I. Joe 25th Anniversary line. So those are the two lines I collected. And then you get older, you get more settled in jobs, you get a couple of promotions, and you got a little bit more income as you get older, and
Right.
off to the races from
Yeah.
there. So
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, what is the most challenging thing about making so many videos all the time? I mean, do you have a certain schedule and a certain day where you film everything? And
yeah,
yeah.
primarily on Sunday. I film a couple of videos on Friday nights, but then Sunday I pretty much film for about 14 hours straight on every Sunday.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just crank them out. So I'm used to talking. I talk for a living. I give a lot of speeches, a lot of presentations. So I don't have too many mistakes. So it makes it a little easier to do. And I kind of game plan throughout the week and say, okay, here's what I'm doing on Sunday. Here's what I'm doing here. And just hammer it out.
So you just did 14 hours of videos, and then I make you come on this show, so you got to talk for another hour.
Oh, it's all right. My voice hasn't left me. I think I've only lost my voice once, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. How many videos do you put out a week?
Be 21 videos at minimum.
21
Yeah, I
videos a
put
week.
3 out a day.
Okay.
I'm not against doing less, but and I've heard before, and I don't know like I always say, I don't know anything about YouTube, but I've heard from some people, man, you should put out like 5 videos a week. It'll help your algorithm, and you'll have way more subscribers, stuff like that.
What?
And I'm just like, I don't know. It doesn't really bother. I mean, obviously it's good to have more subscribers and stuff, but I do this primarily for fun, so it's just stress relief, fun, and then. I get backed up. Like I have a Patreon channel where there's overflow videos, extra videos that all the videos go up to first. And like right now, I think there's like 250 videos that are on Patreon that aren't on traditional YouTube. So even after I quit, I'll have material for a couple of years probably.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna keep going. Even though Kyle's out, we still
yeah,
see Kyle.
Nobody will know for a year.
What would so obviously everybody in the chat's got a smaller channel than you and everything. What would be your number one piece of advice for someone starting out YouTube? What do you think the number one thing they need to do is, and why would that be the number one thing?
Yeah, I truly think not just YouTube, but everything in life. I always say, and I say this in my work life, and I talk to a lot of young up and coming business people and stuff in my organization. I always tell them, I was like, I'm not the smartest guy in what I do. I am definitely not. I was never a straight A student. I was a student where, hey, if I get C's, man, I'm good. That's passing.
Right.
But I am consistent. I'll never be outworked. I'll never be outworked ever in anything I ever do. I will always be the first one to arrive. I'll be the last one to leave because you can control that kind of stuff.
Sure.
That can be controlled. Being the smartest guy and being a rocket scientist, that takes some hardcore dedication and some luck in the brain matter, I think. But one thing you can do is you can get up on time, you can be consistent, and you can do your thing. And I would say that same thing for YouTube. Consistency is key. I've never missed a day of videos since I started, and I do 3 videos every single day and challenge myself to that and find a way to do that and stick with that. And everybody knows, I mean, I don't know if everybody knows, but 3 times during the day, I will have those videos that time. They'll never be late. They'll always be there. So I think not just YouTube, but anything else is consistent. If you're going to do a video once a week and it's going to be Friday night at 5 o'clock, better not miss a Friday night at 5 o'clock. You better be there every single week. So I don't know. That's my best guess of anything.
Great piece of advice. Who do you watch now? You're a pretty good sized YouTuber for the toy community. Who's on your radar? Who do you watch when you have time, when you're not filming 20 videos a week?
I still don't really watch. I'll never watch a review of anything just because I don't want any kind of influence. And if I ever did watch a review, it would be after I already did it myself. But there's some of the people I've become friends with, like Robo from the Foosh. We've got a very similar mind. And I've met him a couple of times this year and hung out with him a couple times, and he cracks me up, and I think I crack him up a little bit. So he's one I do watch. The major pod guys, obviously I've kind of formed a bit of a friendship with them over the years. And, I was just at PowerCon last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, with those guys. So I do hang in there and see what they're up to and stuff like that. But I try not to be influenced. I don't know if you ever heard of Michael Schenker. He's a guitarist. He was in UFO, Scorpions, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's interesting because, like, I kind of have this thought process, and I read an interview with him about a year ago. I was like, wow, that's kind of how I think. He says, now, who knows if this is true? He has not listened to music outside of his own music he makes since like 1981.
That's amazing.
He doesn't listen to the radio, doesn't listen to any other band or anything because he doesn't want to be influenced by anything. And that's a little bit more extreme than I am, but I'm kind of that same way.
Right. I get it. Yeah.
Take it. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I also don't have a ton of time. I mean, I work 70 to 80 hours in my day job a week, and then you got wife and kids and dogs, and it's a lot. So I don't have a ton of time.
Kyle doesn't sleep much, does he?
No, I used to be a power sleeper, but it's weird. I don't know if it's as you got older. And my dad only slept 4 hours a night. And I was like, how does he do that? I can't imagine not getting 12 hours of sleep or whatever. But I guess when you get older, you just don't need as much sleep anymore.
Man, speak for yourself, because I feel like anymore, dude. Because it's terrible. I got an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old running around. I'm like, oh, dude, there's not enough time in the day to sleep and catch up. But that's just how it is. You're obviously on the Triple H Stephanie McMahon sleep regimen.
Yeah, I guess so. It's weird, and I don't really get tired anymore either. It's just weird. Man, it's changed in like the last 3 years or so. So I don't know.
Interesting.
It's weird. I'm not against it though, because it's more time to get stuff done.
There you go. There you go.
As long as it doesn't affect your health, I guess.
Right, absolutely. So Collecting Cool says, I once did 74 videos in a month, but I could never keep up to that schedule. They were too long videos either. Yeah, I mean, I think the most I've done is like 8. And it's like I didn't even have the time for that. So how you do 21 in a week?
Well, and there's a formula. I mean, in my brain, there's a formula. Like I don't take notes. I don't have stuff. And the only time I have notes in my videos is like I do a weekly purchase, or not weekly purchase, toy news of the week. And I have just a sheet and I have bullet points and I just kind of remember it all and free flowing talking and stuff. But like there's a formula to an unboxing, at least for me. It's like, you introduce the product. Here's where I got it from. This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. And, you show the package. Here's my commentary about the packaging. You open it up, you fling it around, and then you describe basically what you have and what you got, and you do some comparisons and stuff. And it just flows very, very simply.
Sure.
Most of mine are around 10 minutes, I would say, that's usually, unless it's some super deluxe thing.
Yep. Well, and I like the way you do it too. So you're on camera the whole time. You're looking through it. You're fiddling through it like anybody else would, and then you're giving up your glamour shots in the corner.
Yeah.
And have you tried it the other way, where it's your hands in the figure?
Yeah, I had nothing against anybody else. I mean, everybody got their own thing, but I absolutely hate that. I don't want to see somebody's hands moving around on figures and stuff. And I remember looking at that. Like I said, I did my videos and I didn't see any videos till after mine. I'm like, they're doing their hands. They got this right here close up. I always kind of think of my videos as like a news broadcast a little bit. You got the guy at the anchor desk and here's the picture up in the corner or something. That's kind of how I view mine. And, people will say, well, you should do that. Well, there's plenty other people that do that. That's the place to go. I'm just doing what I want to see, I guess. But, and you got big hands, you start fumbling around. It's a delicate act. Like I'm blocking stuff with my hands. I mean, I could try to do it, but it would just be strange. Right. I don't know.
Then you got people criticizing how you cut your fingernails, and you got all this other crap, so it's like it's not a lot of fun to do that. And I'm with you. I tried doing it that way too, and it's a nightmare. It's just easier because when you do all your other videos talking, live streams, toy hunts, whatever it might be, it's just easier to talk to the camera, instead of having your hands do the work and that sort of thing. So man, I'm with you, man. That's definitely the easier way to go. Is there anything that you've tried doing YouTube that you changed? You're like, okay, this just isn't working. Let's try something new.
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. I've cut back on my Star Wars videos. That's for sure.
That's disappointing, dude. I'm disappointed in that. Yeah.
There hasn't been. I've had to skip some stuff lately because it's been just basically re-releases and stuff like that, and it's like. It's an expensive hobby already, and Star Wars has gotten so much more expensive. So a lot of the Star Wars stuff, I'm just kind of waiting for a deal. But I did put a Star Wars video out this morning there. Nice. So I did put a Black Series out. But that's been one I've changed. And people seem to not be too into the Star Wars stuff, at least for my channel, what they're looking for. But I still do enjoy it. But the changes that I've made, I think, with my channel has been I've just I've increased videos or I've increased segments. Like, I'll do like the Jonathan Frakes question of the week and I'll answer that, or I'll do, the album of the week or whatever. I'll add kind of stuff like that, but I haven't added or taken away. I mean, if the day ever came that I quit my day job, you better watch out because I've got so many ideas. I've got notebooks full of ideas that I would love to do someday, but it's always the battle against time is what it is. Right. There's only so many hours. So who knows?
So this is a little more question for the smaller channel, but since you're a large channel, what is your ultimate goal with YouTube? If you could have it your way, what would your goal for you to be?
I mean, it really would be fun to have if I just had to do this every single day and I didn't have to like negotiate $1 million contracts and stuff like that and like sweat out and stress and wear a suit and tie and presentations. I mean, it'd be quite the nice life. I don't know if it's really possible. I don't know, but you never know. You never know what might happen. But there's a lot of cool opportunities that have really come my way as of late. Some interesting business deals that are on the table. So you never know. I guess you never say never. So,
Right. Absolutely.
but it would be cool. It'd be cool to be like, it would be cool to be like the Martha Stewart of action figures or something
Right,
like that. You know,
right.
just you have a life, you got a magazine, you got books out, you got a podcast, you got a YouTube channel, you can do a bunch of different stuff. I mean, that would be very fun. Obviously, I'm very passionate in pretty much everything I do, but obviously action figures a little bit more passionate about. So it'd be fun to make a living off that one way or the other, and or who knows, maybe even go work for a Hasbro or something like that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. All right. Mr. Satastic's got a question. What is the identity of Waylon Jennings?
He's a collector here in where I live, and he's that old outlaw, Waylon Jennings.
Nice.
He's been on the channel. If you go, I think it's the 1-year anniversary special on my channel. Look it up. Waylon makes an appearance. He even sings a song in the video. So a lot of people think he's like not real, but yeah, it's a real guy.
Nice. Awesome. And your dad's on a lot with you too. So
Yeah.
how's that been? You know, is that something you just started doing? I know you guys have done like monster
Yeah.
reviews and things like that. It's cool.
Probably the last year or so, something
Okay.
like that. And my dad was a big collector back in the day too. So he collected starting lineups. That was his
Nice.
big deal,
Nice.
starting lineup. So he loves NECA horror figures, the NECA Universal Monster stuff. He loves the classic Universal Monster movies. I grew up watching those with him and stuff. So it's been really fun to be able to, I get one, he gets one. We unbox them on the channel together and do that kind of talking about. So we got a lot of fun there. I've tried to get my dad to do more because people love my dad. I mean, he's pretty funny and we got a pretty good chemistry, I do think. And it's funny, every time we do a video, it's like, nobody wants to see me. I'm too old for this.
That's not true.
I'm like, no, people like it. It was once in a blue moon. It's pretty fun. And, you know, my wife was on, I think, last week. So she comes on every once in a while to help me with some stuff. But I would love to do a podcast with my dad. I'm not the most technical guy, but I'm sure I could figure it out eventually. But I think my dad would be hilarious to be like, it's going to be the question of the week, and people just send a question. It could be about anything. It doesn't have to be action figures, and then we'll just dissect the question and talk about it.
Nice. Absolutely.
I think it'd be funny.
Absolutely. Have you ever? I mean, do you do lives? I mean, probably just when you're asked to be the guest. Have you ever thought about doing
and
your own
that's
show?
one thing. If I could, and that's one thing, I hate disappointing anyone, and I feel like I would love to do like a live every other week or once a month. But the always issue I have is I never know where I'm going to be, and I never know like what kind of work disaster I might have. Like, you know, I would hate to say it's Monday, this Friday, 5:00, we're doing a live stream, and then all of a sudden it's 3:00. Sorry guys, canceled. I had to fly to wherever, and that happens so often to me. I would just hate to disappoint people. It's like, oh, what's he doing? You know, you can never count on it. It becomes the boy that cried wolf. But I would love to. If I had more time, that'd be one of the things. Like I said, I would do that.
Absolutely. Yep. I love your stories of collecting starting lineups with your dad. Starting lineups in Star Wars Power of the Force were the first toys I collected as a young adult. Absolutely, man. Power of the
Yeah,
Force.
so many memories. I remember my dad, I mean, Mr. Fantastic here, he knows all about the old starting lineup days. We're around the same age, but, you know, running to the stores, Toys R Us, having the line out front before they open.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a bunch of grown men waiting at the door, my dad included, but little 9-year-old Kyle, I got no shame. I would do a dead-on sprint into the store, and you'd have all these older guys like, oh, come on, what are we doing here? And I'd just sprint straight to the starting lineups, and yeah, it was a fun time.
Nice. So, you know, I'm sure you get a ton of positive stuff, but do you get negative stuff? And has there ever been that one guy where it's like, you know what?
That's a good one. This is a good question. So guess what? This was the first ever comment I got on YouTube. The first comment ever. So the first video I ever did was a collection tour. I had to, you know, I was in like Facebook groups and stuff like that. People were like, man, you got all these figures. You should really do a video. I'm like, I don't know how. I had a buddy help me and all this, and we did it. But posted up my collection tour. The first comment on that collection tour video was, I hope your house burns down with your entire family inside of it.
What the hell is that? Jeez.
And I got a good sense of humor. So I mean, I don't know if the guy was serious or not, but I was just like, wow, this is quite the place for you two. That's the first
Damn.
comment I ever got. So
I can't believe I'm that of me. I say, screw this YouTube shit. I'm out of here. I'm not
I was
doing
like,
that.
can only get better from that
Right,
comment. Can
right.
only get better.
Only going up. Wow, man. So you think that's the worst one ever?
That's the worst one. I mean, that I'll
I
never
mean, it's
forget
hard
it.
to get worse than
Obviously,
that.
yeah, but you get one every once in a while, like just dumb stuff, and it doesn't really affect me too much. I mean, it is what it is. It's overwhelmingly positive most of the time. That's for sure.
Right, right.
But
Okay, so I asked this from everybody, and it's a little tougher with you because I bet you probably already have it. But give me your ultimate grail item. What is the one or two things you don't have that you would absolutely love to have?
yeah, it's easy for me for a grail item. Now I have it loose, but I've decided a couple years ago that you gotta shoot for the stars. You gotta have a grail item eventually,
Hmm.
and mine would be the LJN Ultimate Warrior
Oh, okay.
from like
Nice.
1989. I mean, that was such a game changer when I was a little kid, and I got that one. But I would love to get one mint on card. So, but that's like a
Nice.
$2,500 figure, something like that. But
Yeah,
one
one
day.
day. Nice, man. Nice. So, how many rooms does your collection take up?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 rooms.
7 rooms.
Wow.
So when I bought this house, I designed it around my collection. So so I got basically the whole basement, and then I have an office on the main floor, and that's where I work and stuff, and that's my kind of Marvel Legends room, and then everything else is in the basement. So the basement's pretty much just for me, and my wife and kids, they got their playroom upstairs, they got their bedrooms, and my wife's got all the living rooms and whatever she wants to do with the rest
Right,
of that.
right. And Rex says not counting storage unit. So do you have a storage unit?
Zero.
Oh, that's
Zero.
awesome. That's
So
awesome.
my rule in collecting is if I can't have it on display, I don't need it in my collection because
Okay.
storage unit is great if you're in between moves and stuff, but really you think about it, okay, you're paying $100 a month or whatever it is just to store things. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't do that. So if it's not on display, I got to get rid of it out of my collection.
Well, and you figure what you got. Jetta Patrol, he just did a live stream where he sold like half of his collection because he totally forgot about it and he found it in the garage in storage. So it's like, you want to remember what you got.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so yeah, absolutely. All right, there's another one. You have some true grails with some of those Jack's Ultimate Warriors you have.
Yeah, those 1 of 20 Ultimate Warriors.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I've got 3 of those. Yeah, and I never thought I would ever own those, but yeah, I got an opportunity. Somebody reached out to me and wanted to know. We worked on a price, and thankfully, right now, if you're a buyer, it's a heck of a buyer's market right now. So I got some deals. I mean, some serious deals. I mean, still very expensive, but truly once in a lifetime opportunity to get those. I'm still missing one. I don't know if it's gonna ever happen, but
Nice.
we'll see.
That's awesome. I'm gonna assume your collection is insured.
Yeah. And my dad was a president of an insurance company, a CEO. So
You got the inside.
I'm very thankful. My dad, like he was property insurance, and then he did health insurance and stuff. So whenever I need to learn how to do that kind of stuff, but it's so easy to say, hey, Dad, put me to the best I need to do. What do I need to do? And it's kind of cheating, but yeah, so I've had help.
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Right now, what lines are you the most excited about from reveals in the past couple months? What do you think that's coming down the pipeline that's really got you excited?
Yeah, classified line for sure. Really excited about that one, just because it's been around. I don't know how many years, 3 years, 4 years now.
We're going about 3. Yep.
Yeah, it's weird. It seems like it just started, but we're a couple years into it. But there's so many characters that are so beloved from my childhood and others that they still got to make. So that is really exciting. Oh my gosh, they're making Mutton Junkyard. Oh my gosh, they're making those. So I get pretty amped up about some of that kind of stuff. I do really enjoy. I do enjoy like the new Turtle stuff when they show the NECA cartoon stuff, and obviously the wrestling stuff is really big for me, especially when some of my favorites are getting figures and stuff. So there's still a lot of excitement about those things, but pretty much every line I collect, I get pretty excited about for the most part.
Right. All right. I think we covered this, but we'll double check. Favorite wrestler of all time?
Ultimate Warrior and Terry Funk. Those are my two. And Ric Flair. If I had to do a Mount Rushmore, Rushmore would be Ric Flair, and then that last one's always a tough one. It goes back and forth. But.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see. There was one more. Oh no, I think we got that. Yeah, we covered that one. All right, cool. All right. So, going back to YouTube, let's see. I think I asked you if you had advice for anybody, and that sort of thing. Um, what when it comes to editing, do you ever watch back your stuff, and do you ever say, I hate the way I look on camera? Was there ever that moment where you're
No,
like, I hate this, or anything
no.
like that?
Yeah, I edit it. Everybody's like, "Do you watch all your videos?" I'm like, "I watch them when I edit them, but
Right.
after that, I never really watch them
Oh,
ever again." But I do occasionally go back. Like the other day, I had a Ninja Turtle accessory, and I'm like, "What the heck is this for?" I think it's for this one, and I just pulled up my video real quick. Fast forward to the accessories. Oh, there it
there it
is.
is.
So
There
I,
it is.
I
Nice.
kind of use it as a little bit of a checklist or whatever you want to call it, just because you can find out, oh, okay, this was the accessories for this guy. So that's a tip out there, because I do unbox a lot of stuff. So almost every figure out there you can check if you need to find out what's missing or whatever.
Right. Right.
But
Well,
no,
I
I
found
don't. I don't ever say, oh no, you should have wore that hat, or you shouldn't have wore that shirt, or anything like
Right,
that.
right. I found one of your videos and you did a couple shorts about it. I found it funny because you got so much flack for it, like you were faking it, but you had a Spawn figure that you took out of the package and it broke
Oh,
right on you. And I saw that it broke on you, but you had so many people like, Kyle, you're full of shit. That didn't break in the package. And like you had to do
oh,
videos about it. Man, what was
you
that like?
Oh, that's a good one too. And like I've had it where I've found in my toy hunts, I found like AEW chase figures out in
Hmm.
the wild.
Hmm.
Like I found I think 3 of them in the wild. And I go to a lot of stores every single week. I hit like 50 stores in like a 9-state area. So for only finding 3 chases out there, it doesn't happen very often.
Right.
But people will accuse you, well, you brought that into the store, put it on the peg, and took the video. I'm like, so you're saying I would bring it into the store, I'd put it on the peg, then I'd walk away to a different aisle, and what would happen? What if somebody grabbed that off the peg? How do you explain that? But then I would film it, and then I would just walk back out with it. Wouldn't they think I'm stealing or reverse stealing?
Right.
Like, I'm like, how much time do you think I have? But obviously, people that say those comments, they don't know who you are. They don't know you and stuff. But it's wild. Like people saying I break, and I've had a few. I mean, this one's still at my desk here. This vampire Batman,
Hmm.
his arm broke off in one of the videos. I mean, it was just a simple turn, and people are like, "You're so rough on it," and I'm like,
You're just
"This
turning
isn't
it.
my first rodeo with an
Right.
action figure. I know what I'm doing here." But
Right.
and I always do say, I get mad and I'll throw stuff every once in a while when they do break, but I always do say, I get it though. It's mass produced. They made 10,000 of these. There's probably 10, 15, 100 that broke.
Right.
The rest are good. And you got to remember that too. It's not 100% garbage, but I am never going to break a figure on purpose,
Right.
And
Just for
like,
views, yeah.
like I had a funny story. I was at San Diego Comic Con. I was at the Hasbro breakfast thing, and the Marvel Legend team kind of cornered me and said, "We're going to teach you about Doctor Octopus and his tentacles, and teach you how to put them in there the right way, or something." It
What?
was kind of tongue in cheek, but I had issues and they wouldn't go in. Well, I told them, I said, and that's what I said in the comments: is 2 of mine, the plastic wasn't bored all the way out. So I
Mm.
had to go heat them up and push. I put a pencil in there, pushed them in, then the tentacles snapped in. So it's just a manufacturer issue. But it's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've opened a figure a time or
I
two.
mean, he's got 20,000 figures,
Yeah.
he
Yep.
knows what he's doing. But yeah, I just found that funny. It's like you got so much flack for that. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
damn, leave the guy alone. It's just insane. Do you think we're going to get another Mattel Creations crowdfunding project?
Yeah, they're gonna do it again. Just not sure what it's gonna be. And I think they got to go smaller. And I've talked to the Mattel team about this a few times and off the record, and they feel if they go smaller, well, they can just make it and they can just sell it on Mattel Creations, and it's got to be something big. But the fan base is clearly saying we're not going to spend the money on that to be something big. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. I do expect they will try to announce something in 2024. We'll just kind of see how that one ends up going out. So.
How do you feel about the HasLabs, the crowdfunding projects, all those? Do you like
Yeah,
them? Do you hate them?
yeah, I get it. I mean, there's a lot of people that, I mean, I see comments all the time. It's like, Mattel's $1 billion company. They shouldn't have to crowdfund. Well, it's not, I mean, it's a bad word, crowdfund. It's not really a crowdfund, but I don't know about you, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that says whatever salary you make, that's enough. I wish I had that. And it's the same
Right.
thing for companies. Okay, they're $1 billion company, but they're still in it to make money. They're not in it to lose money.
Right.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, all these big companies, they're not going to lose money. They got to get a return on investment. And I would say they got to break even, but if you're a good business, you're not breaking even. You're making
Making
profit,
money.
and you got to. And I think a lot of people forget the business side. And I talk about it a lot on my channel. Is like, let's put that business hat on, take a step back, because especially like wrestling figures, why don't they make this guy? Why don't they make this guy? Because that guy doesn't want to be made, or he doesn't have the rights, or whatever it is. But I do think there's a place, and and all these Hasbro and Mattel, they've admitted, hey, if Toys R Us was still around, we wouldn't have to crowdfund and do this thing, because we could put those things out once a year at Toys R Us around the Christmas season or whatever. You don't have that anymore. And Target and Walmart is so hard to get retail shelf space on. And if you put a huge, massive play set in the aisle, that takes a bunch of different figures away. And you've got to turn a ton of units. And guess what? You have a $500 play set at retail. It's not going to be turning a ton of units.
Right.
So
Exactly. It's not the ways. Right. It's not the way it used to be with Toys R Us, where you had an entire wall of G.I. Joe, an entire wall of Star Wars, Transformers, the whole thing. It's not like that anymore. People are still living in that time to where it's like, okay, why can't they just, well, that was the 1980s. That's why.
Exactly.
And it doesn't work.
And I do like them because I think they give something for, I guess you could say it, the adult collector, because there's probably not a lot of kids buying like Thundercats later. I mean, there's no 6-year-old kid that really wants it. I'm sure there's one out there, but they're in the minority for sure. So I like it getting big stuff like this. Yeah, we'd all like it to be cheaper priced and stuff, but I can tell you, like, talking and knowing some of these Hasbro people, Mattel people, and just meeting them over the last few years, I mean, they're fans too. And that's one thing that's really changed in the toy business from the olden days. I mean, you watch documentaries, you go back to the starting lineup days with my dad, when you go to starting lineup conventions, you can get the feeling, even as a little kid, I could get the feeling that some of those employees didn't really care about the toys. This is just a job that they ended up getting into. Now the tide has turned, that the people that are making the toys and dealing with the toys, they're actually passionate fans that actually collect the stuff. So they really have the eyes of the collectors and the eyes of the fans in better service than back in the day. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a good point. A lot of them are fans. We give them a ton of shit. We really do. We give the Star Wars team, I'm going to give you my opinion, I think Star Wars team's the worst out of the Hasbro team.
I agree.
But I think the G.I. Joe's the best, because you see what the G.I. Joe's team's been able to do as opposed to the Star Wars team. And, how long has it been since you've been, because you've mentioned it several times, you talk with Hasbro, you talk with Mattel, you talk with these guys. How long have you been doing that for?
I mean, just last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever I was at PowerCon, Steve from Mattel was there. Brian Flynn from Super 7 was there. I had a really good talk with Brian. I might be talking to him again fairly soon. So a lot of those guys, like I have no issues. Like, Steve from Mattel, he'll take a DM from me. I'll send him a DM and he'll answer right back and stuff.
Nice.
So, I mean, those guys are all, and I think for most people, I mean, they might not get back to you in 5 minutes, but I think within a day, I think a lot of those guys will get back to you with a question. Obviously, they can't give you the dirty details on things, but they can give you some of the good answers there, I think. So,
absolutely. LeBron, what's up, buddy? LeBron Fit. Good to see you. And I know you got some opinions about this. That was a shame the WCW stage didn't get fun. I was looking forward to it. And the figures, I wanted the Warrior and Steiner the most. I thought that thing was overpriced.
Yeah. I don't know if it was overpriced. I think they went the wrong way around it. I thought they thought it would back a lot quicker, and it didn't, obviously. But I think that's why they did the tier thing. I mean, there's different ways to go about that. And I think if they had to do it all over again, they might have just said, hey, here's the ring, here's the pricing. And then all of a sudden, if, they're at 9,000 backers, they'll say, okay, if you guys can get it to 10, we're going to add this extra figure. I think they could have done it a better way. But they also got their hands stepped on a little bit. That Hulk Hogan that was originally there at the last second, they had to change that up. So that kind of deflated some people, because they said, hey, we just got that Hogan, which was very similar. It was supposed to be that Pasta Mania Hogan from his restaurant in Minnesota at the Mall of America. So that really hurt it. And I think the other thing that I've seen, and I'm so happy the Thundercats layer got funded, because the Nitro stage, for those that got to see that in person, if you actually saw it in person, you would say, holy cow, this is worth it. And that's the first thing I said to Mattel when I saw that at WrestleMania. I said, you guys somehow have to find a way to get people to have this same experience through their internet or their TV, because I've saw pictures before, but until I saw it in person, I could not believe how cool this thing was. It was 10 times better in person than what we saw on screen. And I don't know if that's just a good cameraman getting that across or what it is, but that thing was next level in person. And I think it definitely would have funded if there was a way everybody could have saw that.
Right. And I think that hurts it. You see like the ghost right now. It looks good, but does it look $500 good right now?
Yeah.
By the pictures I'm seeing, no. But you've probably
And
seen it. You were at SDCC. You
yeah,
probably saw it. So, I think that's the downfall with the internet is it's not as good as it is on film or on picture, and more people would back it if they saw what you're seeing being at
yeah.
conventions and things.
It's a tough time right now, and not just toys, but across the board, as consumers aren't understanding the new line of pricing. And that goes for groceries, that goes for toys. It's a hard pill to swallow that, oh, this bag of Doritos used to be $2.50, now it's $3.50.
Right.
But it is amazing how anything gets made anymore because it's so hard to retain people, get people, and people want to be paid more than ever. And you got to do something, so you got to pay people more. And it all has to go somewhere, and it ends up inflating the cost of goods. And it's wild. I mean, not just action figures, but I think it's in a weird zone, and it takes a couple of years to get used to a new pricing model, and that's across the board. I mean, I still go back. I'm like, gosh, I'd like a new Jeep, and then I look at like, how is a Jeep like $80,000 brand new?
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day too. Yeah,
it feels like it should be like 28, 30,000 in my head, but it's like 80,000, and it's just like. And I think a lot of people are having that on smaller examples with food and some action figures and things.
Yep. I was just saying that to my kid, my brother. He went on a toy hunt with me yesterday. Star Wars Black Series used to be 20. Now it's 25. Some cases 27. Some cases 30. And it's like, what the hell happened? And it's like we're getting less. And it's just like you said, it's hard to wrap your mind around that. And especially being a kid of the 80s when things were like $3.
Yeah.
It's really hard to wrap your mind around that stuff. And
Star Wars has it the worst mix. They seem to be the most expensive. They seem to give you the least bang for your buck. And I think it really just comes down to that Disney tax and the Star Wars tax that they add on. Where G.I. Joe Classified, I mean, let's be honest, the figures are cheaper and you get way more with them. But Hasbro owns the IP. They don't have to pay money to Disney. They don't have to pay money to Lucasfilms or whatever. Right. And that's what goes into it. And people don't, the outside, the casual fans don't understand that.
Right. Well, they think they're just, I've said this before, just picking on the Star Wars fans. We don't like Star Wars, so we're just picking on you. Like you said, that's not really the case.
Yeah.
Are you going to WrestleMania next year? I'm going to try. It's a bucket list thing for me to do. Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't planning on going this year, and then like a week before, I got invited out there, so that was pretty cool to go out there and see the Mattel offices and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I don't think they're going to do something like that for Philadelphia. So I got a pretty busy schedule next year. I'm definitely going to PowerCon. I'd like to go to Joe Fest. I might go back to San Diego Comic-Con. So I don't know if WrestleMania will be in it for me, but you never know. It could be a last minute deal, but I definitely recommend waiting to the last minute and getting tickets. SmackDown, Raw and SmackDown and all that was WrestleMania weekend. I went to SmackDown, which was also the Hall of Fame, and I didn't have tickets or anything. I was like, well, let's get tickets before the show. And I went into like StubHub or one of those kind of things about 20 minutes before the show started. For $35, I got a suite with all included food, and I was the only one in the suite.
Nice.
So
I had no idea you could do that. I thought they just kind of let him go to waste,
So I sat there by myself in my own suite directly above the ring with all the free food I wanted and drink. I couldn't believe it. I was like, nice. I can never go to a show again. This is $35. Spoil me. $35.
That's a great tip. I mean, what's WrestleMania like? I almost went. I thought about going to the one in Dallas a couple of years ago. Well, what's it like? For the person that's never been to it, give us a very quick idea of what we could expect if we ever went.
It's just big. I mean, it is big. It's a different scene, obviously, than your Raws, SmackDowns, your normal pay-per-views. I mean, it's just immense. I mean, SoFi had like 63,000 people each night, something like that. And I mean, that's just a lot of people in one place. And depending where your seats are, I mean, I don't know if I'd want to go and even get nosebleeds. Is it worth it to be there in the crowd when you're just watching on a monitor and you're paying $200 to park? So I don't know. I mean, I definitely felt like it was something I always wanted to do. So I'm glad I saw it once. But to me, I was probably be just as happy watching it on TV, depending on where your seats are, though. If you have really awesome seats, I mean, that can't be beat for sure. But
yeah, if you're on the ramp or you're,
Yeah,
somewhere on
or
the
even on the
barricades.
floor.
Right, on the
Even if you're
floor.
on the floor, I
Mhm.
think it's pretty good. Even the first level, it's pretty good. But boy, you get up in those big stadiums at the way top, it's just like takes you forever to get to your seats, and then you're watching a screen the whole time. But
Yeah. Well,
if you're a wrestling fan, I feel like you got to say I went to at least WrestleMania once. I went to Survivor Series once, and I'd like to go to Royal Rumble once before it's all said and done. So
right, right. Well, you got a good point about the bleeds. Me and my brother went to a house show in Colorado Springs a couple years ago, and even we were up high, and it's still I could have watched this on TV. It was a house
yeah,
show. House shows are much more intimate, and it's like I totally with you. It's like football. I could watch the game much better on TV than in the
yeah.
stadium. So
That's the thing. It's football, especially. It's like, gosh, and all the food and stuff. You can have everything at your house on the couch, and you get every angle and everything. I mean, there's something
right.
about the experience from time to time, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, working my good buddy. There's nerd affiliated Steve Archer. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for checking out this with Kyle. So, are you a sports fan? And if so, what's your favorite sport?
I was always a baseball guy,
Oh, you're
and
okay. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're
so
talking.
I was a baseball guy and a wrestling guy, basically, as a kid. So I played baseball and wrestled, and I used to do
Nice.
MMA back before MMA was really a thing. Back when there was, no money in it or anything, you just did it because you liked to fight. That was kind of my
There you
type of
go.
thing.
There you go. There you go.
So, but yeah, baseball, of course, the glories days of the '80s when you're a kid. You're in little
Right.
league, you're following along and stuff like that. So I was big into it. I'm not as big into it anymore. It's just it's too hard to keep up with everything. And I usually start watching baseball after the All Star break. Is kind of
Yeah.
how I've kind of adapted to. You wait, and then it's a little shorter season that way, but. I've been a little out of the loop, and the A's are my team, and I'm a little
Oh,
disappointed they're
I'm
moving.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, they're moving away from Oakland, and it's just
Yeah,
who knows?
that's rough. But I mean, they're going to a nice stadium. They're going to have
Yeah,
a nice stadium, and they'll be set. Hopefully, they can get a winning team on the field because right now,
yeah,
not there,
not good. The ups and
not there.
downs.
Yep, that's it. That's it. Mr. Fantastic says, I went to Royal Rumble '92, and it was my hometown. It was amazing. I was there when Flair won the title by winning the Rumble.
Yeah, probably the best Rumble of all time. It's the one that always sticks in my head first.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you
Yeah,
taking extra time. I know you've been talking all day
it's all
long,
right.
but just want to thank you. Go ahead and give the people a little bit where they can find you. Not that they don't know where you're at, but where they can find you, what you got on the horizon, and what we can look forward to seeing from you.
Yeah, just search Kyle Peterson in YouTube. I always say, I don't know, I haven't searched for a while, but there's two Kyle Petersons. There's like some survivalist expert that has like 2 million followers, and then there's like me. So you can pretty much decipher which one's which. But I think it's like Kyle Peterson 1980 or something official. But search it in there. You can find me there. Of course, social media, let's see, Sir Paul64 on the X,
Mm,
the underscore Kyle underscore Peterson on Instagram and Thread. So you can find me on all those, and yeah, I got videos every single day. So pretty much everything going on the channel every day. I try to put like one wrestling video a day, and then maybe a He-Man, Marvel Legends, Turtles, Thundercats. So a little bit of something for everybody over there.
nice, nice. Well, thank you again, man. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being on again. I got to look at my calendar, see who we got next week, so I can let these guys know. Give me 1 second, guys. I can't keep track of this. It's not like I'm booked that hard or anything. Jay Philly Retro Toys, who was in the chat, new YouTuber, so he'll be on the show next week. Then after that, Nolan Clicks. So guys, definitely make sure you're checking that out. Thank you again, Kyle. We'll see you guys next week. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, guys.